Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Pisces, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of September. I hope you're well. I'm using Pagan Otherworlds Tarot for you today. So let's get on and see what's coming up for you. Could I have 3 cards for Pisces, please? Thank you. We have 2 in your recent past. We have the 8 of Swords and we have the 9 of Pentacles. Current energy for Pisces, please. Thank you. We have the Wheel of Fortune. That's nice. And one more for what is coming towards. Thank you, Pisces. We have the 4 of Pentacles showing up there. Interesting, no cups for you this month. We have the King of Wands at the bottom of the deck. That's Leo energy there, and it's very much concerned with how you take action on a particular thing. And given that we seem to be talking about a change in circumstances, I feel that's coming in for you at the moment. It's not coming from nowhere. It's coming because you worked something out, Pisces. It's definitely a month where we're going to see some progress, I think. I've just dropped a card down there. Which is interesting because we do have Mercury retrograde coming up and, you know, all the things that usually entails. It's nothing to be concerned about. It's just traditionally an energy that puts you in a position whereby looking back and checking that you've done everything properly, you've closed up loose ends and things like that is encouraged, rather than launching something new, going into new things, you know, whatever it is. There's plenty of videos about the retrograde you can watch. Just out of interest though, we do have a Mars retrograde coming up very soon. That happens every 2 years. And there's some funky astrology that goes along with that. So if you are interested, I'll go and find a video and see how it affects you specifically. But let's get some clarifiers here. Why is this 8 of Swords and 9 of Pentacles here? Thank you. We have the World. We also have the King of Cups. That's Scorpio energy there. And we have the 10 of Wands. That makes a lot of sense. So tell me about the Wheel of Fortune, please. We have the High Priestess. There you are, Pisces. I'd like to see that for you. Oh, what do we have here? The 10 of Swords. And what about the 4 of Pentacles? Why is that here for Pisces, please? Thank you. We have the 9 of Cups. I'd like to see this. There it is. And one more for the 4 of Pentacles, please. Oh, fuck. That was 2. Right. So interestingly enough, we've got the 2 of Cups in reverse. And we've got the 7 of Pentacles. Oh, that's quite interesting. We've got the 10 of Pentacles there at the bottom of the deck. Now, again, we've got cups now, but we don't have as many as one would usually associate with a Pisces reading. This seems to be very much an energy of how you change your life at this point, right? There are certain things. Well, let's get straight into it, right? Because when these clarifiers came out here, this World, King of Cups and the 10 of Wands, to clarify the 8 of Swords and the 9 of Pentacles, what became very, very clear to me very, very quickly when all those cards landed is that this is a case of you having outgrown something. Now, whatever it is will be different for each of you. It could be a family situation, it could be a friendship, it could be any one of a number of relationships. But there's also quite a bit here about mindset too. And I think as your mindset has shifted, so whatever you find yourself surrounded with at this point is starting to, you're starting to lose your attachment to it. I think that's probably the best way of putting it. And I like this because the 8 of Swords is quite a difficult energy. Interestingly, on the Pagan Otherworlds, we don't have any characters depicted in any of the Pips cards. It is just the 8 Swords. It's almost as if you, Pisces, have sort of got up and walked away, exactly as we speak about often. When we're looking at other depictions of this card, it's like a woman's there and she's bound up and she's got her blindfold on and all that sort of thing. And it's like, if only she would wriggle her arms and move. Right? Then she could get her arms free, she could take the blindfold from her eyes, she could see where she was and she could take herself to safety. This card says to me that's happened and all that remains now are the swords on the beach. But it's not relevant to you anymore. And this could have been a big movement, or it could have been a small one, but the important thing is that you realised that it was you who was keeping you where you were. And if you have outgrown something and it is time for you to move on, then that's what needs to happen. The fact that it's combined here with the Nine of Pentacles is a really beautiful card, because that for me is about managing your resources. And being Pentacles, that can be your time or your care or your effort or your money or your love, whatever it is that you are capable of investing becomes a pentacle. The presence of the Nine of Pentacles is taking stock. It's generally quite a comfortable card, but I always feel like it's kind of bringing a power back to you. Your absence in the Eight of Swords there is saying you've pulled your energy back to you. You've realised that you are keeping yourself stuck in a position, whether it's work or a family relationship or whatever it is. It's going to be different for each of you. But then we've got all of these cards here. Now, in their different ways, they all speak to endings or culminations, right? We've got the World card, which is the end of a major cycle, major arcana cycle. And when we hit this card, the next one, we hope, will be the Fool, and we'll start the whole journey again, right? It's quite meta. We've got cycles within cycles going on. This is quite a big one. But here we've got the King of Cups, which in its own way speaks to a type of culmination and completion, because it's the final card in the court hierarchy. It speaks to emotional maturation. It speaks to this idea of the only person being in control of your emotions is you, and actually regardless of what is going on environmentally or even in other people, it's not your concern. And this is a huge place for you to be, because of those difficulties that you have sometimes in identifying yourself within, the massive feelings and whatnot that you experience. This is a very bold statement of reclamation of self, because to do anything else at this point is too burdensome. It feels inauthentic. I did say to you a couple of years ago that this would come more easily, Pisces, and it seems to me like it's happening here. And so what we've got is a corresponding freedom, not to necessarily have to geographically relocate yourself to get yourself out of a situation, but understanding the power of the word no, and understanding the power of the intent of no, and not being able to be knocked off your perch in any way with that. Like, no is a complete sentence, right? We know this, we've talked about this before. It doesn't feel to me like you're compromising any part of yourself. And that you are choosing to live your way. Like I said, it might have involved you kind of walking away from some people recently. It might have involved you kind of looking at your own mindset and going, look, I've just trapped myself again. I've done it. It's what I do. I'm just going to get up and walk away, whether it's mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or physically. It's very positive. I like it very much. And it makes sense then that the next card that you would have would be the Wheel of Fortune, because, at its most basic, it does talk to this sense of improving fortunes, right? The wheel is always turning and whatnot. But I see this card particularly as indicating having kind of learned something very important, right? It's a leveling up card. You're going to make mistakes in the future. That happens. But every time we make a mistake, I feel like if we are in a position where we learn from it properly, then often what we're doing is mitigating our own capacity for destruction. Because we are careful, because we are aware, because we are in this, constant reaching for growth and development, we're so much more aware, so much more conscious of the implications, the consequences of our own actions, And when you're very careful, you tend to make mistakes less frequently. And the type of mistakes that you make tend not to be the great big clusterfucks that we make in our youth. And so you've learned something here, and it's been very, very important. And it's been kind of difficult. I think it's been quite challenging for you. But I don't get a sense of you having curled up in a ball and just sort of wished that the world would go away. We've got the High Priestess there sitting next to the Ten of Swords and going, oh yeah, it's been challenging. But this hope remains. You know, the Ten of Swords is a wonderful card, I think, personally, because it does indicate an end to suffering. In your case, I think it's an end to self-imposed suffering. Well, ever was it thus, to be honest. You know, when you're taking personal responsibility for everything in your life, you don't tend to stick around in situations that are no good for you. You get up and you move and you go and do something else instead, because you're strong enough to be able to do that. But this Wheel of Fortune feels like quite a powerful set of energies for you at this time. Yeah, tell me about this. Where even if nothing's really happening, something is happening. Wheel of Fortune, please. We've got the Justice card. Ooh, look at that. Big energies of consequence and even karma, if you want to look at it that way. The card that came out with it is the Five of Pentacles, and this seems to be speaking of just how well you have learned the lesson of, abandoning your own basic needs. The Five of Pentacles is a card of poverty. It can be a card of poverty consciousness, and that doesn't have to just involve, money. And quite often it doesn't. If you have a poverty consciousness mindset about money, then likely it's existing somewhere else in your life too. But this is the consequences of having that. And these cards here are talking about the positive move away from that, right? So because you have learned, we're not going to go back to this kind of situation again. It's, between that Ten of Swords and the very disapproving look that we have on these two cats' faces here, this is not, it really isn't a lesson that you intend to go back and revisit anytime soon, right? The consequences are all there. They're in your head. You don't want to go back and visit this, but you're not battered and bruised and awful. Everything's okay. This is how it feels to me right now. And when you're in that state of everything being okay, rather than trying desperately to get yourself back up to some sort of point of neutrality, from here you can actually concentrate on growth. You can concentrate on expanding those things that feel really good to you. That's why it feels so positive to me. What we've got coming towards you for September is the Four of Pentacles, and this Four of Pentacles can speak to the things that you hold on to too tightly, but it can also speak to the things that are important to you, or those things that actually hold intrinsic value. And we've got Four Pentacles stacked up like that in a nice neat line, and there is something very efficient and organised, not least from the number 4 here, but by the way that there's this very careful stacking of pentacles going on. So if the pentacles are your time and your care and your money and your effort and your love, then what we've got here is a willingness to arrange the resources that you have in order to access this, what is more important to you than anything else perhaps that you've been dealing with for the longest time. It's your personal happiness. Now this is sometimes called the wish card, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that, but it's that kind of wishing that's it's like the daydream. And as we know, the daydream is so very important for the manifestation. It's not sufficient to know that you want something. You have to act as if it's there already. You have to merge with that as an idea. Now, on top of everything else, for Pisces, it's a sense of self that is indicated very strongly here. It's not about going along with what everybody else wants. It's not about being the harmonious or harmonizing influence on a collective of people. It's not about saying, well, I don't really have any strong feelings either way, I just want everybody to be happy. It's no. It's very front and center. What do you want? What makes you happy? What would make you content? And how do you go about building that for yourself? Like I said, there is movement here. I don't think there's necessarily much in the way of movement in the 3D world, but certainly in terms of your mindset and what it is that you're looking to draw towards you, I think that you're going to be making leaps and bounds in this, and that is actually what the Mercury retrograde energy is about. I find it fascinating that we've got these two cards here. This is Two of Cups in reverse and the Seven of Pentacles. Now, it might be that some of you could potentially be breaking up with somebody this month. If you know that the relationship is kind of on the rocks, then it looks like this might be a time where it happens, because Two of Cups in reverse, obviously, if in the upright it's talking about people coming together, when it's in the reverse it's about people pulling apart. It could be possibly a level of dissatisfaction that you have with a relationship that is leading to it ending this month. It could be dissatisfaction with an ending that has already occurred. Remember, the retrograde often brings up old situations that we haven't dealt with before, we haven't dealt with properly, to give us that opportunity to close them out properly and move on. But I thought it was interesting that these two cards came out together and this one stands alone. We've got the Two of Cups here with a card that speaks about something being unsatisfactory, requiring some sort of effort in some way or another, and it's more effort or it's less effort, but effort has to be invested in deciding which one of those is appropriate. And then we've got this. I think that your focus this month is much more on you and what you want, and we like that very much. But it could, let's pull another couple of cards, because I think for some of you, you'll be breaking up with a partner. For others of you, you're going to be going over an old relationship and trying to sort of pick it clean for the knowledge that you need, the wisdom that you need from that. We've got the High Priestess and we've got the Temperance card, but interestingly enough, this High Priestess is showing up in the reverse. Now, if this is what you know, if this is the wisdom that you have accrued, then this would be the things that you don't know. The things that you can't necessarily rely on your intuitive knowing to just give you the answer to. But it is here with the Temperance card, the card of Sagittarius, that is implying that there is some sort of balance coming in to play here, but certainly a great deal of healing coming in with it. I'm kind of leaning towards this idea of you going over past relationships, trying to work out what went wrong. I don't think necessarily that your ex is going to turn up on the doorstep and be like, hey Pisces, anything like that. Sometimes these things come up by, I don't know, a passage you read in a book, or a particular song you hear, or maybe there's a film that just suddenly comes up that reminds you of this ex. The reason why this is happening here, I don't feel it's not like Mercury retrograde goes through everybody's sack of memories and goes, right, what's a really good humdinger of a thing to bring out here? More, you've come such a long way, generally in the last few years anyway, but you seem to have made some sort of breakthrough recently that puts you in a position whereby you can go back and look at these older situations and gain more from it. There's more to be learned from it. There's particularly more to be learned about yourself and what you didn't know, and the way that you acted when you didn't know. You didn't knew? I don't know. There's something here for you to learn about yourself, but it's through the lens of a relationship, I feel, that has broken down. And all of that is not to torture you, it's not to punish you, it's to really focus your mind on this. Right? Now, I would say, without a doubt, this situation here, this healing that is coming along here, would absolutely involve a relationship where this was not front and center. This was not a present thing for you. This is not something that that you could wholeheartedly, put your hand on your heart and say, no, I moved through that relationship in a Nine of Cups situation. I think it's more likely that you were kind of blundering around like this. But there's healing coming. And from there, like I said, it sharpens your mind on this, and it's going to take you somewhere else. It's going to take you a little bit further along, you know. It's like Mercury retrograde's like taking 4 steps back, but then being able to take 6 steps forwards once you've processed what the retrograde energy is trying to show you about the situation. You know, we've got that, I just want to bring you back, we've got that 10 of Pentacles there at the bottom of the deck, and it's Knight of Cups there, which is a Pisces card. So I wonder if for some of you, this is revolving around the idea of commitment and what that looks like to you and how you've exercised a commitment in the past, whether it was to a relationship and certainly at this point now latterly, how you exercise that towards yourself. I think that would be something quite interesting for a lot of you to be musing upon. But the 10 of Pentacles deals with those things that we have built up over time, you know, that stuff, the stuff that we've really invested in. I think you're going to be going over quite a lot of this in September, and I think it's going to free you up to be able to move forwards quite strongly. We've got the King of Wands there, and what I didn't realise when I looked at that card is that you actually have the Tower and the Ace of Wands behind that. I feel like you're getting ready to make some really big moves, Pisces. So treat this next month as an opportunity to be able to make sure that you've got everything right. There's nothing about your perspective that's kind of off, because that 9 of Cups needs to be front and centre. And if it's not front and centre, you'll know about it in September. But you have an opportunity to put it straight before you start making some really big changes. King of Wands, Tower, Ace of Wands, coming into October, possibly October. Yeah, okay. If this has resonated with you, Pisces, I'm going over to Vimeo now to do an extended, and we're going to dive into this a little bit deeper. So if you would like to join me over there, the link will be out in the description box there. You're very much welcome to do that. You could come and join my Patreon community if you would like to do that also. The link's also in the description box for that. But if not, I wouldn't try and do too much this month. I wouldn't be looking to bring in any big changes, any big extravagant things, right? Because there's a lot that's going to be changing in the next month or so. This is more a case of crossing your T's and dotting your I's and making sure that you're coming from the right place with everything, right? It's a little bit of a rest before everything goes all tower-like, in the best possible way though. Like, it's not a scary tower, it's a very creative tower. It feels very much like an act of creative destruction in order to bring about something that you actually want for yourself, or to be able to live the sort of life that you want to, actually. And there might be a Leo involved, there might be a Sagittarius involved. I've got those 2 signs here on the table. But that doesn't matter, because what matters is you, your responses, and the way that you're dealing with these things. So I'm going to leave it there. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.